And the last question is not unrelated actually. Would it be better for North America to have a black president or a female president?
That's a big one. That's a big question. I think that if the candidates would, if it wasn't Hillary Clinton, then it would be in a fairer. Obviously, it's not your question. You know, it's talking about specifically about the people. I think Barack Obama is a very incredible human being. I think he's a really good speaker, and I think that Hillary Clinton isn't so much. And I think that if she became president, she'd get eaten alive. You know, I think that if Obama becomes president, they're going to do their best to fuck him up the ass as soon as he walks in there. You know, there's hundreds and hundreds of years of horrible bastards being in control of that country that the shit's going to hit the fan if he gets in there. But I think that for America to vote in a black president, whether he's the most right-wing, horrible person in the world, just the fact that the American populace is prepared for that, to vote in that kind of a change is incredibly exciting, and I personally I'll fall to the knees and kiss the ground if he gets voted in.
And we can come back and film that, presumably, just
yeah, sure.
in terms of accountability.
Yeah, I'll do it now if you want, and then you can just use it if you win.
If I can speed him into office, you do it now.
Yeah.
Just if you don't mind, just because that's a really, really interesting response. It sounds from your answer that because I've personally got mixed feelings about this, and it sounds from your answer that you do think that it will make a significant difference if he's voted in. And I just read yesterday that the biggest arms manufacturers in North America, you know, all the people that are making bombs and munitions are all funding, and have been from the start, funding Obama's campaign. And I just kind of, I'm personally, and people I speak to around are kind of torn between really wanting this to be the great leap forward, to quote Billy Bragg, and then to learn that, you know, all of these munitions companies are actually, you know, picked Obama.
I'm not surprised, and a lot of people have told me that that he's not exactly the man that you would be led to believe he is from reading his book, or, you know, I mean, he's a politician. You know, politicians by their very nature are slippery, lying, and devious people. That's just how they've evolved as a species, you know. Because to be a politician, you need to learn to get money from people, you know. But, and like I say, if he was Satan himself, I would still feel a bit like pretty much anyone who's going to get voted in as president of America is going to be a bit shady. You know? They're going to be Christians, and they're going to want America to lead in global economics, which is, I don't know if you've got enough tape in this camera for us to really enter into discussing the ins and outs of what I'm implying there.
Mm-hmm.
But for it to be a black man, and for the majority of Americans, or a majority of Americans, to vote him in, whether fucking Beelzebub is funding him himself is I think it signifies a shift in people's perceptions, people's race perceptions, and that's just something that I'm quite involved in at the moment, you know, and have been for a while.
Mm.
The idea of eradicating racism or prejudice due to the colour of a man's skin or a woman's skin is something that I think is really important. And whoever gets voted in, there's going to be some dirt or some shady funding on some level. You know how much money it costs to run a campaign like that? A lot. I don't know either.
No,
But I don't know exactly, but it's a big old country. You know what I mean? You have to hit a lot of people, so you need a lot of money. So I'm not surprised to hear that there's some dodgy funders, and that you know everyone who's going to give anyone some money is going to have an agenda. But I think I'd rather it be him than McConnell or any of these other cunts.
Can I ask you one more? That's all the questions done, but it's just
Sure.
every day we try and do a topical question.
Okay.
Is that all right? You're right.
Yeah, that's fine.
The topical question, which has just occurred to me, just on the back of some of the stuff you're saying about racism, it sort of links into whether how if there is a societal cure for racism, and if there is, what's the character? What's the character of British people? And I just read today that Vincent van Gogh, they found a Van Gogh canvas which was has an existing painting on it. And using incredible kind of, I don't know what,
X-ray technology, yeah.
They found a painting underneath it. So the topical question today is the secret canvas, and if the canvas is the British people, if the canvas is on the surface is the British people, what's behind it? What's their character? What constitutes British people?
Oh, I see. It's like if the British.
If the British character is the
soul of Britain was to look into Dorian Gray's mirror.
And they were saying that Van Gogh didn't want people. It was a French peasant, and he didn't ever want anyone to see it, so he painted over it. And 120 years later, they got the technology. If we could look in, what is there a shared characteristic of British people? Could there be such a thing?
I don't know. Well, it's a hard question for me to answer. I'm Irish, and I grew up in Spain. And I've only been here for 8 years.
So you might be best to judge, actually.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of British people would disagree. I only found out recently who Zippy and Bungle are.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's some.
We must introduce that to the nationality test when people come. Have to do this test now.
Yeah.
Who's the Queen? Who is Zippy and Bungle?
Zippy and Bungle are two S&M bondage puppets that young people were subjected to in Britain, which I think goes a long way to explaining the state of mental disrepair that they're in. Sorry. I don't know, a lot of pride, a lot of it misplaced. I think there's a fine line between justified national pride and nationalist superiority. Like Eddie Izzard said, there's a fine line between cool and looking like a dick. Like James Dean with a matchstick in his mouth looks cool, but a matchstick in the other side of his mouth looks like a dick. And it's the same with nationalism. I think flag waving and being proud of your country is something that is to be admired if it's from the right perspective, but if you go that little bit further, saying my country's great, my country's great, my country's great, it's a fine line before you start saying it's better than your country, And Mark Twain, he's not English, but he's American, and he said something once. I wasn't around, but I read it. He said, loyalty to your country always, loyalty to your government when it deserves it. Which is an essential distinction, which I think that most British people don't make. As soon as someone starts waving the flag, it's more aggressive and more superior than when other countries do it. When a Jamaican waves his flag and he's celebrating everything about his culture, he's not saying we're better than you. When English people do it, it kind of stinks of that a bit.
That's brilliant. Thanks a million.
Cool.
Cheers, mate.